So we like bola. हाँ. So on behalf of Corona Remedies, we welcome all faculty of today's program, Dr. Pesi sir and Dr. Sunil Shah sir, and we also thank Dr. Alpesh Gandhi sir for giving us the opportunity to host today's program. And on behalf of entire team Corona Remedies, we welcome all the delegates. And first, I would like to introduce today's moderator for the program, Dr. Pesi Luis sir. So, Dr. Pesi Luis sir is currently working as a senior consultant and associate professor in charge MCH course, and working with an AIIMS Amrita Institute of Medical Science, Cochin. And sir is also FOXI Vice President elect for 2021, and he's also held many responsibilities in FOXI as well as national level as well as state level. And right from the beginning, Pesi sir is known as an strong academic person and always a lovable teacher for doctors across the country. And I welcome Dr. Pesi sir for today's program and take the session to moderate and take the proceedings further, sir.
Good afternoon to all of you. I think without wasting time, we will go to that because already we are late.
Yes, sir.
So today we have none other than our own Dr. Sunil Shah. He doesn't need any introduction. I think this year, I think FOXI, he is into part and parcel of all the FOXI activities. He is the vibrant joint secretary of the FOXI this year. Also, for the completion's sake, I will introduce he is the IVF consultant in Ahmedabad. Special interest is the recurrent implantation failure and recurrent pregnancy loss. He is also the joint secretary of Ahmedabad ONG Society, joint secretary Gujarat chapter of ISAR, past vice president Ahmedabad, joint secretary ASCOG for when the conference was held in 2017 in Ahmedabad, past treasurer of IOGS, received many awards in FOXI, including the Gujarat prestigious award from the Chief Minister of the Gujarat, Rubani Sahab. I think he will be talking about the male infertility. I think, as you all know, infertility is not complete without treating male. Even though we are gynecologists, you must be knowing that. He will be highlighting the aspect of, as you all know, most if you take as a whole, nearly half of the cases either alone or with the male is responsible for the infertility. So over to you, Sunil, for the male factor infertility talk.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pesi Luis, for the kind introduction.
And then we take the questions at the end. So all please post the questions so that we have a good discussion at the end, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Pesi, for the kind introduction. And I would like to thank Dr. Alpesh Gandhi sir for asking me to speak on this subject. And I would also like to thank Corona people for supporting this FOXI webinar. I would like to introduce Dr. Sudha Prasad Madam first, because today, in fact, Dr. Sudha Prasad Madam was going to speak on male infertility, this subject of the FOXI webinar. But because of certain health issue, Madam has been dropped out in the very last minute. She just called me 1 hour back. So Madam is not joining, but she has sent me her whole presentation and requested me to speak on this subject. So it's a wonderful presentation. I could not go thoroughly to it, but I will definitely like to justify this subject along with my friend Dr. Pesi Luis. So first of all, I will introduce Dr. Sudha Prasad Madam. Madam is a President Indian Fertility Society 2020-2022, and she is a Director of Matritva Advanced IVF and Training Center, New Delhi. She has a teaching experience of more than 34 years. And Madam was a former professor and IVF coordinator in Maulana Azad Medical College. Madam was a Vice President FOXI in year 2019 and President of AOGD year 16-17. So Madam has many more accolades for infertility, and Madam is a committed teacher. So I thanks Madam Sudha Prasad and will go ahead with my presentation of male infertility. So male infertility is a very troublesome issue for everybody. I will try to simplify it in coming slides. The prevalence of male infertility, it's a sole cause in around 20% of the couple, and it's a contributing factor in around 20 to 40% of the couple. So we know that both male and females are responsible for in around 27% of the cases, and in around 15% of the cases there is idiopathic infertility where no known cause is found. And around 38% of the cases, we found that only female problem is there. So let us understand the pathway of the sperm in the male reproductive system. The sperm production start in the testes, then it goes into the epidermis and vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, and ultimately urethra. It comes out. Spermatogenesis is the formation of the sperm cells, and it takes place in the seminiferous tubules. It takes around 74 days from spermatocytes to form a sperms, and it takes around 12 to 21 days to transport from testis to the urethra. Let us see that this spermatogenesis happens in the seminiferous tubules, and there is a primordial germ cells where spermatogonium is formed. There is a first mitotic division happens, and then this spermatogonium converts into the primary spermatocyte, that is diploid, and it is in a prophase of meiosis 1. Then there is first meiotic division happens and secondary spermatocytes forms. After that, there is a second meiotic division happens and spermatids and sperm cells are formed. So this happens in the seminiferous tubules. All this production of the sperm is regulated by the hormones, and this axis is hypothalamo-pituitary gonadal axis. And we know that from the hypothalamus, GnRH is produced, and this GnRH will go to the anterior pituitary, and from where FSH as well as LH will release, and by positive feedback mechanism, the FSH will act on the Sertoli cell, and from where the spermatogenesis will happen, and LH will act on the Leydig cell, and from where the testosterone is formed. Etiology: in around 1 to 2% of the cases there are pre-testicular causes. In around 10 to 15% of the cases there are testicular cases. Post-testicular causes is around 10 to 20%, but in majority of the cases the cause is unknown, and that constitutes around 60 to 80% of the cases. As I told that pre-testicular causes is around 1 to 2%, and here there are HPA axis disorders. It can be a congenital disorder or it can be acquired. Congenital disorders like Kallmann syndrome, Prader-Willi syndrome, hemochromatosis, familial cerebral ataxia, and acquired causes like hypothalamo-pituitary tumor or a trauma, aneurysm, GnRH agonist and antagonist, chronic illness, malnutrition, and obesity. All these acts on the HPA axis and lead to a oligospermia or agiospermia. Around 10 to 15% cases there are testicular causes, and where there is a primary gonadal disorders, again it can be a congenital or it can be acquired. Congenital causes like Klinefelter syndrome, AIAS, Y chromosome microdeletion, cryptorchidism, congenital anorchia, and Phi-ARD. Acquired causes of testicular causes are infection, trauma, surgery, pharmacological and environmental toxin, radiation, hyperthermia, because of varicocele, castration, and systemic illness, either liver cirrhosis or renal failure. Post-testicular causes in which there is a disorder of the sperm transport like congenital bilateral atresia of vas deferens. It is because if there is a CFTR genes, there is an acquired disorders for the sperm transport like coital obstruction at the level of the epidermis, vas, or ejaculatory duct. due to infection, tuberculosis, or any other, or trauma, or some surgery. And there can be a ejaculatory dysfunction, which can be a spinal cord disease, autonomic dysfunction, retroperitoneal surgery, premature ejaculation, retrograde ejaculation, and certain drugs can also lead to a ejaculatory dysfunction. One of the cause is psychological, is also for the ejaculatory dysfunction. In 60 to 80% cases, as I told, that which constitutes about the major cause of the male infertility is around 60 to 80%. But still, we try to find out what are these idiopathic causes. And the most common pathological cause is free radical induced damage to the sperm. And free radicals can be produced due to a sedentary lifestyle, obesity, smoking, alcohol, consumption, dietary deficiency in micronutrients like lycopene, coenzyme Q10, selenium, zinc, etc., as well as environmental factor, infection, and drugs are also responsible for male infertility. Frequency of etiologies that we find in male factor infertility, where EAU guidelines on male infertility was published in 2016, and more than 10,000 men were investigated, where idiopathic semen abnormal semen analysis was found in around 30%, varicocele around 15%, hypogonadism in around 10%, immunologic factor and general systemic diseases in around 5% of the cases, cryopreservation due to malignant disease, that's a big number, around 8%, sexual disorder in 2 to 3% of the cases, and endocrine disturbances, obstruction and infection constitutes altogether around 3% of the cases. We also try to know what are the drugs that affect the male infertility. I will highlight them very fast. Alcohol, alkylating agents, allopurinol, antipsychotics, arsenic, aspirin in large doses, caffeine, calcium channel blocker, cimetidine, that is an antacids, cocaine, colchicine, dibromochlorpropanol, diethylstilbestrol, lead, lithium, monoamine oxidase inhibitor, marijuana, medroxyprogesterone, nicotine, nitrofurantoin, phenytoin, spironolactone, sulfasalazine, testosterone, tricyclic antidepressant drugs, and valproic acid, which is used for the epilepsy. The chemotherapeutic agents madam has mentioned here affecting the male infertility. We must know about the chemotherapeutic use for the malignancy, because many of the chemotherapeutic agents has a good recoverability, and some has moderate, but many have a poor recoverability rate. So we should ask oncophysician that these are the medicine which has a poor recoverability, and these poor recoverability drugs are cyclophosphamide, chlorambucil, procarbazine, and nitrogen mustard, vincristine, procarbamazepine, and prednisone. These are the medicine which causes very poor recoverability, and full recovery takes more than 5 years. But there are many good anti-malignancy drugs like cisplatin, methotrexate, cytosine, urbaniside, 6-mercaptopurine, thioguanine, vincristine, prednisone. All these have a good recovery, and they recovers this sperm count within a year to 2. So these are the drugs which we must know that causes the male infertility. Then evaluation comes. How to evaluate? And when you are evaluating the patient, you have to identify potentially correctable condition, life or health threatening condition of a male that may underlie the infertility and require medical attention. Genetic abnormalities that may affect the health of the offspring if assisted reproductive techniques are to be employed. How to evaluate? What are the things? So let us start it with the history. History is extremely important. Look for the age of the patient as well as the partner. Reproductive history of the male and partner both are important. They have been trying for the conceive. Previous pregnancy is there or not? Offspring in current or past relationship. Previous investigations and treatment taken. Sexual practices like frequency, penetration, use of lubricant, timing of intercourse with ovulation. So they should have knowledge about all these things. sexual function, whether normal function and ejaculation is there or not. We must know whether cryptorchidism was there, hypospadia surgery, testicular torsion, mumps, orchitis. Am I audible?
It got voice is breaking.
Okay. Now?
It's okay.
Okay. Uh, then general physical examination. Look for the general appearance of a male partner. Hair distribution over the face, trunk, axilla and pubic region has to be seen. Look for the muscle mass of a person. Look for the adiposity, whether increased estrogen, because of the increased estrogen, gynecomastia is there or not, abdominal scar from where, because sometimes in pediatric history they might not have a idea about which surgery was done, and in inguinal region look for the swelling and the scar for the previous surgery. Look of this picture, there is a gynecomastia, there is no hair and there is central obesity. So this is a picture of a male hypogonadism which suggests less androgen and there is an increased estrogen. Local examination requires secondary sexual characters. Look for the size of the phallus, prepuce, meatus, curvature, cordyceps is there or not, scrotum, whether it is normal or underdeveloped. Look for the testes, number, location, size, consistency, induration, and any mass or cyst is there or not. So, examination, urologist and endocrinologist, general examination, secondary sex characters. Genital examination with care and privacy. Scrotal examination for varicocele, hydrocele, and hernia. And epidermis vasa, spaghetti-like. It looks like, it feels like a spaghetti. Testicular volume, orchidometer, and there is a hypospadias or not, and for prostate, for rectal examination. Different investigations for male infertility include semen analysis, hormone analysis, ultrasonography of testes, transrectal USG, genetic analysis required sometimes, and MRI of the brain is also required occasionally when required. In semen analysis, we should guide patient how to go for the semen analysis, and semen analysis can be collected by masturbation or intercourse using special condoms where there is no spermicidal JD. Patient can collect sperm semen at home or at laboratory in a special jar in a proper environment. So kept it, and then they should be asked to keep this semen at a room temperature or body temperature. It should be examined within 1 hour of the collection, and there should be abstinence of minimum 1 day. If there is an abnormality, 2 samples needs to be examined 1 month apart. In semen analysis, semen volume comes, 80% of the semen volume comes from the seminal vesicle, 15 to 20% comes from the testis and epidermis, and 2 to 5% from the prostatic secretion. Semen pH is alkaline, which is around 7.2 to 7.8. This is WHO 2010 criteria. Most of us know, but I will speak this criteria. Semen volume is around 1.5. Average is minimum. This is a lower limit of normal reference range. 1.5 should be minimum. Total number of the sperm count is around 39 million. That is per ejaculate, and sperm concentration should be 15 million. That is the lowest lower reference range. And motility, progressive and non-progressive motility is around 40%. Progressive motility should be minimum 32%. Vitality should be 58%. Sperm morphology, which was previously 10%, is now only 4%. So the morphology has come down to 4%. Different terminologies are used for the semen analysis, like oligospermia. Here when the sperm concentration is less than 15 million per ml, then it is called oligospermia. If progressive and non-progressive motility of less than 40% is there, or progressive motility of less than 32%, it is called asthenospermia. When sperm morphology is not good and it is less than 4%, then it is called teratospermia. And OAT, that is oligoasthenoteratospermia. When there is a combination of oligospermia, motility is less and morphology is less, all three is less, then it is called oligoasthenoteratospermia. Frequency of testing. Semen analysis are normal according to WHO criteria. One test is sufficient. But if the results are abnormal, at least two tests is required and both the reports are normal, then further andrological investigation is indicated. What hormonal analysis are recommended? They are testosterone, FSH and LH, and prolactin for pituitary adenoma and tumor. Now, if hormonal disturbances is there, let us try to understand from where we can judge to the diagnosis. Characteristic endocrine profiles of infertile men. If testosterone, FSH, LH and prolactin all are normal, then it is normal. In primary testicular failure, there is a low testosterone level, but there is a very high FSH level, and LH level can be a normal or high, and prolactin level is normally, it is normal. In case of a hypogonadotropic hypogonadism, there is a low testosterone, there is low FSH and low LH, whereas prolactin level is normal because it is a pretesticular problem and there is no production of FSH and LH from the anterior pituitary. If in case of a hyperprolactinemia or pituitary adenoma, the testosterone level is low, here also the level of FSH and LH can be low, but prolactin level is high, which is indicative of a pituitary adenoma. In case of a androgen resistance, there is a high testosterone, high FSH, high LH, but prolactin level is normal. Ultrasonography of the scrotum, it is indicated when in clinical examination testis is small or atrophied, or there is a testicular mass, epididymal cyst or varicocele is suspected. Let me tell you the classification of varicocele. That is a Sartesi's classification, and it is in supine and standing position, both grade 1 to grade 5. In grade 1, there is a reflux in inguinal channel only during Valsalva maneuver. Scrotal varicosity is not evident in standard ultrasonography study. Grade 2, there is a small varicosity but extends to the superior pole of the testis, and diameter increase and venous reflux seen only during Valsalva maneuver. Grade 3, vessels enlarge at the inferior pole of the testis only in standing position. No enlargement detected in supine position. Reflux observed only during Valsalva maneuver. Grade 4, vessels appeared enlarged in supine position, dilatation increase in upright position and during Valsalva. Testicular hypertrophy common at this stage. And grade 5, venous ectasia even in prone, decubitus and supine position, reflux at rest and does not increase during Valsalva maneuver. Transrectal ultrasonography. It is an indication for agiospermia with palpable vas and low volume ejaculates. Oligospermia with low volume ejaculates. Palpable vas and normal testicular size and partial EDO, but it is controversial. Genetic analysis. The indications for that is a karyotyping, family history of recurrent spontaneous abortion, Y chromosome microdeletion, that is AZFA, AZFB and AZFC. CFTR gene mutation in case of a agenesis of vas deferens. Sex chromosome abnormalities, for example, clinical fetus syndrome. And many times when there is agiospermia or severe oligoasthenoteratospermia, genetic analysis is indicated. MRI brain sometimes is required in case of a suspected pituitary pathology like pituitary adenoma and tumor. Semen preparation techniques. Purpose of semen preparation is to remove seminal plasma and to avoid from it. Because prostate happens, and to remove pus cells and other debris for avoidance of pelvic infection. Patient instructions for semen collection, proper cleaning instructions to be given, no lubricants, body lotion should be used, properly labeled wide-mouthed container of non-toxic material, and instructed not to touch the container from the inside, and another instruction that no water or clean or soap should be used to clean that container. It should be collected preferably at the center by masturbation, and a separate room in a secluded area should be provided. If collection center is not possible, then sample is to be, and the collection occurs has taken at home place, then sample is to be kept at the body temperature during transport, and they should avoid keeping the sample on the dicky of the scooter or the two-wheeler, or on the, should not keep the container on the dashboard of the car. Sign taken should be taken from of the husband and the wife stating that the sample belongs to the husband, and in case it is not collected at the center. Liquefaction, allow to liquefy for 30 to 45 minutes at 37 degrees centigrade, and then see whether the sample runs free drop by drop on pipetting. Unliquefied samples are difficult to pipette and make a thread. In case of a viscous sample, repeated aspiration through the pipette with the addition of the culture medium. Sometimes the sample is so viscous that it takes a lot of time to get liquefied. So in that case, you can use a pipette, or you can use a syringe and needle also, and you can add a culture medium into the sample also. Measure the volume of the sperm and note and record the color of the semen. This is a counting Mackler's chamber, and these are the 100 squares. Total number of the sperm in 10 squares should be measured, and that is equal to the count in the million per ml. Percentage of motility is equal to number of the motile sperms in 10 square into 100. So suppose these are the 100 squares. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. Here you can count the number of the sperm count. That is equal to the number of the sperm count. And then you have to see the number of the sperms which are motile in 10 squares. So that is into the 100 is equal to the number of the motility. Total motile sperm count. This represents total number of motile sperm present after the preparation and subsequently available for insemination in IUI. Minimum cutoff value, no consensus at present, but it should be more than 1 million sperm count, or many centers says if it is more than 5 million sperm count, and morphology should be more than 4% to have a better result. Different methods of preparation for IUI. Direct, that is swim-up techniques for normal count and for normal motility. And another is a density gradient where there is a low count and low motility. So this is a 1 to 1.5 ml of the culture medium is taken in the round bottom tube and gently underlay 1 ml of liquefied semen underneath the medium. So first a culture medium is taken in the bottom of the tube and underlay the liquefied semen medium and allow to stand for 30 to 60 minutes at 37 degrees centigrade. and sperm migrating to overlaid medium turns opaque or milky. This is this semen from where the sperms will migrate upward in this plain culture media and it will turn opaque or milky. Carefully aspirate all the supernatant fluid. Centrifuge in 15 ml conical tube at 15 ml conical tube at 1500 to 2000 rpm for around 10 minutes in a ramming. So this is a centrifuge machine, this is a conical this place, and you have put it for 10 to 15 minutes for 1200 to 1500 rpm. Then aspirate the supernatant fluid very carefully without disturbing the palate and throw away. Then add 0.4 to 0.5 ml of culture medium to the palate and thoroughly mix it. Look for the count and the motility. Direct fever techniques has the advantage that centrifugating only motile sperm without leukocyte, dead sperms and debris, and in this way reducing the effect of reactive oxygen species. Centrifugating only once, so minimizing the trauma of the centrifugation. Density gradient prepared for sample with low motility and poor progression. 1 ml of 90% of the solution at the lower level is taken and 1 ml of 45% solution to the upper layer. 1 ml of liquefied semen is layered over these two medium, 90%, 45%, and then 1 ml of the liquefied semen is layered over the medium. Centrifuge this for 15 to 20 minutes at 1500 to 2000 rpm. Remove the supernatant and add 2 ml of culture medium to the palate and mix it again. Then centrifuge again for 5 to 10 minutes. Remove the supernatant fluid and mix this palate with 0.4 to 0.5 ml of culture medium. And then your sample is ready for the IUI. These are the different microfluidic slides and these things are available. Microfluidic is the study of the system that can process the small quantities of the fluids by using tiny channels having dimension at the micro scale. It mimics in vivo condition and it is autonomous microfluidic devices have been developed for sperm selection, oocyte denuding, IVF, embryo culture, integrated platform, IVF, oocyte positioning, fertilization, medium replacement and other microfluids. It is an automated vitrified. Agiospermia means complete absence of the sperm. 10 to 15% of the infertile men is having agiospermia. It can be obstructive, post-testicular in 1/3 of the cases. It can be a non-obstructive agiospermia. The cause can be a testicular and pretesticular and focal areas of spermatogenesis are seen in some of the non-obstructive patients. Pretesticular hypo causes can be there and congenital syndrome where FSH and LH is severely low. In testicular causes, congenital cytosol only syndrome, Y chromosome microdeletion, it can be acquired because of the tumor or the trauma. Obstructive congenital bilateral atresia of the vas deferens or acquired because of the vasectomy. The clinical condition and its correlation with hormonal profile. FSH, when there is FSH and testosterone, when there is high FSH more than 2 times and testosterone is low, don't go ahead. FSH and testosterone low, then repeat testosterone, free testosterone, LH, prolactin and testosterone. Free testosterone is raised, look for the sex hormone binding globulin and sex hormone binding globulin is raised, then look for the hyperthyroidism, liver disease and drugs. Low FSH, LH or testosterone, look for the hypo and pituitary tumor and prolactin. low FSH, low LH, and raised testosterone, there can be an exogenous use of testosterone. Don't say no to a azoospermia father that you cannot become a father. Testicular failure, primary hypergonadotropic hypogonadism, secondary hypogonadotropic hypogonadism, testicular failure, testosterone for general treatment can be the cause for infertility, HCG plus recombinant FSH, GnRH pulsatile in hypothalamus problem for 1 to tier. When to do biopsy for azoospermia or severe oligospermia? If differential diagnosis between obstructive azoospermia and non-obstructive azoospermia cannot be established on clinical and endocrinological parameter, diagnosis for cutaneous needle aspiration or by biopsy gun, scrotal incision to create a window, and no consensus on unilateral or bilateral. Types of sperm extraction techniques. PESA and MESA are good in men with obstructive azoospermia 8 or beyond epididymis. MESA is a microscopic epididymal sperm aspiration. It is better with good accuracy. In non-obstructive azoospermia, TESA, that is aspiration, is similar to PESA. And in TESA, percutaneous core biopsy or open biopsy, where putting an incision over the scrotum skin and then with the knife, a biopsy is extracted, and in aspiration, simple needle aspiration is done. Open, always larger tissue to get the bigger chunk. In microtese, microsurgical tese is recommended and gives the highest success. It is done under the microscope and there is less injury, less hematoma, and better chance of retrieval. Sperm extraction. Sperm extraction ideally should be done 8 hours before ovum pickup, and always analyze ejaculate sample. You may get sperms and may not get sperms in TESE. Minimum interval between two procedures should be 3 months, and transient decrease in testosterone level after TESE is found, and then it normal after 18 to 24 months. Cryopreservation of sperms are routinely recommended, and repeat TESE in second sitting to get sperm is better. So do chromosomal analysis. Azoospermia, sperm count less than 10 million, 10 times higher. Incidence of chromosomal structural abnormalities are there. So when azoospermia is there, sperm count is less than 10 million, go for the chromosomal abnormalities. Severe oligospermia, history of malformation, recurrent pregnancy losses, and familial disorders, go for the chromosomal abnormality. And as well as if there is a family history of chromosomal problem, then chromosomal analysis is advised. Syndromes associated with male infertility are Noonan syndrome, that is 44-5X, it is phenotype is male, Klinefelter syndrome 47XXY, and commonest TESE ICSI gives good result with normal babies. So only condition which is very helpful or where we can get the baby is the Klinefelter syndrome, where the 47XXY. Cystic fibrosis with CFTR gene may have atresia of vas deferens, and all patients with CBVAD assume to have CFTR gene still do genetic tests and screen female partner. In CVD, 40% with obstruction and renal abnormalities are found, and where chromosome microdeletion also has to be checked for. Another syndromes which are associated with male infertility are Kallmann syndrome, X-linked recessive hypogonadism, Prader-Willi syndrome, fertile eunuch syndrome. Y chromosome microdeletion. Y chromosome is essential for spermatogenesis and testicular demotion and development. Y chromosome microdeletion is associated with spermatogenetic impairment. Location is important. So different microdeletions are found, that is A, Z, F, azoospermia F, A, B, and C. And C is the sperm extraction. In AZFC, the sperm extraction is possible, and 71 to 80% success rate is found in case of C microdeletion is there. So look for the Y chromosome microdeletion and find out which kind of a microdeletion is there, whether A, B, or C. In A and B, there is germ cell aplasia and there is an arrested maturation. So there is no chance of getting sperm from the TESA or TESA. But if there is AZFC, the chances of sperm extraction is possible and the success rate is around 71 to 80%. Different medical treatment for male infertility, specific and non-specific. In specific, look for the endocrine disorders and treat accordingly. Subclinical male accessory gland infection treatment, obesity related infertility, oxidative stress treatment, sexual dysfunction treatment, and non-specific is empiric treatment for idiopathic male infertility. Endocrine disorders. List of endocrinopathies causing male infertility. They are hypogonadotropic hypogonadism, thyroid disease, hyperprolactinemia, Cushing's disease, gonadotropin secreting adenoma, diabetes mellitus, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, liver disease, acromegaly, androgen resistance, and hemochromatosis. Let us see all one by one. Hypogonadotropic hypogonadism, where we know the feature is low FSH and low LH, and there is a low total testosterone level. There is absent or low virilization, hypertrophic testis, as well as there is azoospermia. So, as we know that main causes are congenital like Kallmann syndrome and Prader-Willi syndrome, and acquired pituitary tumor, pituitary radiation, steroid abuse, testosterone replacement therapy can also lead to a negative feedback mechanism, and which will lead to a decrease in the production of the sperm. Adult onset hypo, in which the treatment should be, we can start injection HCG as LH, and HCG stimulate Leydig cells to produce testosterone, and HCG alone can also stimulate spermatogenesis. Urinary HCG in the dose of 2000 to 5000 IU 3 times per week for 12 weeks are tried. Prepubertal hypogonadotropic hypogonadism. HCG in the dose of 2000 IU intramuscularly 3 times weekly for 6 weeks are given, and thereafter 37.5 to 75 IU FSH or HNG subcutaneously is added thrice a week. It takes around 6 to 9 months to produce normal semen counts. And GnRH in a pulsatile manner at the rate of around 90 minutes apart with dose of 25 nanogram per kilogram of body weight can also be tried in case of a prepubertal hypogonadotropic hypogonadism. Subclinical male genital tract infection, if it is there, it should be treated, and the prevalence of which is around 10 to 20%, and primary target organs for these infections are epididymis, prostate, and seminal vesicle, and which is also constituted around for the significant cause of the idiopathic male infertility, and it should be treated. And the different organisms which are responsible for that are E. coli and gonorrhea, C. trachomatis, Urea liticum, and M. hominis. Viruses like HPV, HSV, Epstein-Barr, CMV, HIV, and hepatitis B can also cause this problem. And 2 protozoas like T. vaginalis and T. gondii can also cause a male genital tract infection. Subclinical male genital tract infection. Leukocytospermia. in which the sperm leukocytes or the pus cells of more than 1 million are called the leukocytospermia, which leads to a motility impairment and subfertility. It also leads to a decrease in a DNA integrity, and there is a also problem in the morphology of the sperm if there is a leukocytospermia or the pus cells or the infection is there. So we should treat that different organism, and sometimes it requires culture also. So look for the different organism. We know that if there is a gram negative bacilli, then fluoroquinolones should be given. If N gonorrhea is, then penicillin as well as quinolones and cephalosporins are good. In case of a chlamydia trachomatis, azithromycin, a single dose of 1 gram is also good and sufficient. We can also use doxycycline and quinolones for trachomatis, urea plasma urealyticum. For that, azithromycin and doxycycline is useful. Mycoplasma hominis, for that, azithromycin and doxycycline is useful. Treatment for subclinical male genital tract infection and associated inflammatory changes. Antibiotics, cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitors, and antihistaminics as well as antioxidant combination should be tried. And they start from the lifestyle and nutritional changes. Dietary advice should be given, exercise should be suggested, and pharmacological interventions for appetite suppressors, sibutramine, weight loss drugs, aromatase inhibitor, anastazole, and the letrozole, surgical intervention for having morbid obesity, bariatric surgery, and the scrotal lipectomy, and ART, IUI, IVF, and ICSI. Controversy and uncertainties. Medical management of male infertility. Serum levels of testosterone and estradiol. Aromatase inhibitors in obesity-related oligospermia. So look for the testosterone estradiol ratio. It should be more than 10. If testosterone estradiol ratio is less than 10, that means aromatase hyperactivity is there, and anastazole in the dose of 1 milligram or letrozole in the dose of 2.5 milligram once a day for 3 to 6 months is given, which will help in normalizing the testosterone estradiol ratio, and which in turn will help in normal sperm count improvement. Oxidative stress related infertility. In 30 to 80% of the infertile men have a elevated markers of oxidative stress. Most common pathological cause of idiopathic subfertility is free radical induced damage to the sperm, and free radical is defined as oxygen molecule containing one or more unpaired electrons in atomic or molecular orbits. So these oxidative stress can be because of drugs, smoking, pollution, radiation, and systemic pathologies like diabetes, cancer, systemic infection, and primary pathologies of male reproductive organs like male accessory gland infections, prolonged stasis of spermatozoa in epidermis or in transit, immature or abnormal spermatozoa. All these produces oxidative stress to the sperm, which leads to a spermatozoal dysfunction and infertility. So at that level, evaluation for oxidative state and treatment of all these underlying pathology along with antioxidant supplementation is required, and avoiding factors promoting reactive oxidative stress gene value. DNA damage is the main expression of ROS production and oxidative stress. So the principle is quantification of sperm DNA strand break. And in spermatozoa, nuclear dyes, acridine orange SCSA, direct assessment by tunnel and comet, and sperm chromatin dispersion test. So we have to find out whether there is a DNA fragmentation or the DNA damage is not there. So these are the different techniques for diagnosing the sperm DNA fragmentation. Various antioxidants and their role and rationale behind use. Antioxidants like vitamin A in the dose of 100 to 300 milligram per day, and the rationale for it, it protects sperm from loss of motility, and by giving that, the parameter improved is the motility. This is the study of Ashok Agrawal and Keskes Amar, and N-acetylcysteine 600 milligram for 3 months, and it is said that increases the availability of glutathione, and it acts as a ROS scavenger. It also helps improving the volume, motility, and viscosity. The study conducted by SIFTI in 2009 and OIDA in 1997. L-carnitine in the dose of 2 to 3 milligram daily for 3 to 4 months, and it lowers reactive oxidative stress, and which in turn improves motility and morphology. Vitamin C also helps in improving the motility and morphology. Coenzyme Q10 300 milligram for 26 weeks inhibits lipid peroxidase, and in turn it helps in motility, morphology, and acrosome reaction. Zinc, lycopene, selenium, beta-glucan, and pentoxifylline. All of these are helping in reducing reactive oxidative stresses, and which in turn improves the motility, morphology, and concentration of the sperm in semen analysis. Oral antioxidants in male infertility. There are many studies which have said that there are beneficial effects of oral antioxidant, but there are also studies which said that it doesn't have any effect, and few have said that there is no effect, and some have said there is a detrimental effect, and long-term use and high doses has increased mortality in cancer population-based studies. So there is no consensus yet, and short-term use appear to be safe. Caution against indiscriminate use of high dosage for longer period of time. So these are the different antioxidant study. Cochrane study in year 2014, antioxidants for male subfertility review, where around 48 randomized control trials were done, and there is low quality evidence from only 4 small randomized control trials suggesting that antioxidant supplementation in subfertile males may improve live birth rates for couples attending fertility clinic. Sexual function dysfunction, premature ejaculation, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors takes 2 weeks to reach the therapeutic level, but depoxetine works within 1 hour. 30 to 60 milligram is taken 1 hour before intercourse. So we know that depoxetine is very useful for premature ejaculation. Retrograde ejaculation. The drugs which are used for the retrograde ejaculation are ephedrine sulfate 10 to 15 milligram 4 times a day, midodrine 5 milligram 3 times a day, brompheniramine maleate 8 milligram 2 times a day, imipramine 25 to 75 milligram in a divided doses, desipramine 50 milligram every alternate day, and in case of an erectile dysfunction, sildenafil works very nicely and it can be taken in the dose of 25 milligram to 100 milligram 1 hour before intercourse. Empiric treatment for idiopathic male infertility. Idiopathic male infertility, no demonstrable cause for altered semen parameters. In that case, androgens not recommended in infertility. HCG, HMG, FSH can be tried. Aromatase inhibitor, very nicely mentioned about the use of aromatase inhibitor in a previous slide. Anti-estrogen, clomiphene citrate 25 milligram once a day for 3 months. Tamoxifen can also be used. Bromocriptine in case of a high prolactin level. Alpha blockers, systemic corticosteroids. In general, not effective, but in selected cases may benefit of FSH or HMG and anti-estrogen. These are the very recent guidelines in 2016. Selection of treatment modality depends on parameter. So IUI can be done if concentration of sperm is more than 10 million per ml and total motile sperm is more than 5 million per ml. If it is there, then we can go for IUI. And if DNA fragmentation index is less than 15%, we can try. In suppose sperm count is 1 to 10 million, then we can go for IVF, and their motility should be 1 to 5 million per ml, and DNA fragmentation 15 to 30%. But if sperm count is less than 1 million and motile sperm count is less than 1 million per ml, ICSI is the only answer. And if DNA fragmentation is more than 30% or 60%, then the results are not good, and TESA and ICSI can be tried. So to summarize, medical treatment is recommended in case of hypogonadotropic hypogonadism grade 1. HCG is the treatment of choice for adult onset hypogonadotropic hypogonadism. Oxidative stress impairs sperm function and is a risk factor for male infertility and miscarriages. Current evidence suggests that oligo supplementation for subfertile males improves the chances of for pregnancy and live birth for couples undergoing ART. Obesity is a risk factor for male infertility. Lowering estradiol levels by administering aromatase inhibitor increases LH and FSH levels by pituitary modulation and increases the testosterone level. Aromatase inhibitor may stimulate sperm production, and there is little scientific evidence for an empirical medical treatment in idiopathic male infertility. Thank you very much. I thank again Dr. Sudha Prasad Madam for giving me this opportunity. I again thanks Dr. Faisal Louis for coming, helping me in the last minute, and I thanks Foxy President and Foxy for giving me this opportunity to speak on the subject of male infertility, a complicated subject. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sunil, for that wonderful lecture. I think you have covered almost everything, right, from the beginning to empirical treatment to male azoospermia, everything you have covered. I think, can we take few questions?
Faisal, you can take lecture and you can reply also.
Okay. And it is one question is azoospermia with normal FSH, LH, testosterone, how to manage? I think azoospermia means if the FSH and LH everything is normal, we have to make sure that spermatogenesis is there by doing the PISA or TISA. And if we can retrieve the sperm, we can pose them for a ICSI procedure. or in doubtful cases, if we are not able to retrieve for that, we can plan for microtissue also.
And I think PESA is also very useful. We can try epididymal aspiration also, right? So this is a obstructive agiospermia.
Okay. Then is sildenafil safe in diabetes? I think sildenafil can be given. Only thing, if the cardiac problem is there, we have to be little careful. Isn't it? No, Sunil?
Yes, that's right. Only in case of a hypertension and cardiac disease, it should be avoided. Migraine patients should avoid the sildenafil because it causes vasodilatation. Along with it's a specific vasodilator, but it causes vasodilatation of other vessels also. So very rightly mentioned that it is safe in diabetes and can be used.
Next question is, what are the basic investigations if semen count is less than 10 million?
When sperm count is less than 10 million, that means it is a oligospermia, and we have to see in details about whether morphology is also there, abnormality or not, or that. Then look for the FSH, LH, and the testosterone level. Look for the varicocele, whether varicocele is there or not. Look for the size of the testes, and then severe oligoagiopteridospermia. In that case, karyotyping and the chromosomal analysis is also indicated. You should also look for the DNA from augmentation, and as very rightly mentioned by madam in all the slides, that look for the infection also, because infection can also lead to oligospermia. So detailed analysis of the sperm is semen analysis is very important, and then go for the hormonal investigation, scrotal sonography, and infection.
Rightly told. And if the semen count is less than 5 million, we have to ideally assess the total mortal sperm concentration. And if it is less, then we have to advise 60 at the earliest. Otherwise, we have to see the testicular function. Same hormone, everything was mentioned in the slide, FSH and prolactin. And if there is diabetes, we have to roll out and then proceed accordingly. Then next question is that in non-obstetric azoospermia, recommended dose of letrozole. It was clearly mentioned in the slide. If the testosterone E2 level, that's a new concept which has come recently. If it is less than 10, we have to give letrozole 2.5 milligram for 3 months. It may not be effective for all, but can be given as a trial. It was clearly mentioned that. Then when to use anti-estrogens? I think that is I think little. I mean, some people don't agree to that. Some people agree to that use of clomiphene. So I think I'm not going to that detail. Then how often you advise to check the semen analysis after treatment with clomiphene citrate? Sunil, do you use clomiphene?
No, I don't use clomiphene so routinely.
I also don't use clomiphene for male because ideally when we use, there must be a gap of 3 months on and 1 month off, and that period because of that FSH increases, the production increases, and that's why there are a lot of people who doesn't use it, but people are trying. Few people are trying with that. So if they are using in between after giving that gap period, then afterwards you can check whether the semen is improved or not. Okay, I think if there are no other questions, we will conclude the session. No. Thanks once again, Sunil, for coming in last minute and talking, because it is your own subject, so you could fill the gap, and also Corona Remedies for support with that, and this wonderful initiative by the FOSSI President Alpesh Gandhi sir for this wonderful webinar. I think all the previous webinars are available in the website, I think. So, Sunil?
Yes, sir. All all the available, and this will also be available on our website, Foxy website. Thank you very much, Faisal. Thank you. Thank you, Vasu.
Thank you, sir.